There we go. Oh, wait. No, there we don't go. My turn. Excuse me. What's up, everybody? I'm Kat.
I'm Bubba.
And it is hot where we're going. This week we are talking about alternative rock. Had people ask some questions, and so we're going to give our opinions of some different stuff. I'll let Bubba first talk about the definition of alternative rock.
So alternative music comes out of, I guess it's the independent music. How do you say it?
I don't know. I don't know what you're trying to say. What I read on it, because I was trying to find what is the definition, because I've never really known a definition, and it's a lot different from the late 80s, early 90s than it is today.
Right.
So what I read out there was that it's anything that doesn't fit into a specific genre. It's not mainstream. And I would say that's probably how it started out. But now I'd say alternative rock is just as mainstream as hard rock. I mean, it's its own genre.
Alternative on its own has basically faded. And so alternative music in and of itself was split into many subgenres, like grunge, indie pop,
right?
Things like that, and that's how you got it was such a wide variety of music. But a lot of it came, like I said, from the '80s independent music movement, the underground scene,
right?
And
independent record
labels, and bands that were not mainstream, so they were called alternative because they didn't follow the main. The primary route to success, if you're going to call it that, as other bands that came before them in the hair, kind of the 70s rock and the, stuff like that. But it came out of like this punk movement that major record labels didn't see value in, where independent records labels did. And these bands, just kind of had their own kind of a cult following almost. And you ended up with bands like Soul Asylum and
back in the 90s you're talking?
Yeah, even in the 80s, because Soul Asylum was formed in 1981.
Right.
But you had bands like them and Jesus Lizard. They all came through in the mid 80s and everything, and it just kind of was alternative rock or alternative music is an umbrella term, really.
Right, I agree.
You just didn't have any one style that it fit.
Right.
But
I get that.
Probably the one that people know the most is called grunge, or what came out of the Seattle sound, which, I mean, ultimately that was kind of a fusion of heavy metal and punk. They, like Nirvana, Pearl Jam.
I had always considered that the reason they called it grunge, right? It was dirty sounding.
It kind of had a dirty sound.
The dirty guitar sound, the dirty mic sound,
Right.
The thing I can do with this, wherever that is, how did this sound? Where did that go? Oh, it's not going to do it now. Oh, because I turned me off. So that weird stuff,
Kind of. But they had, that's where it came from. And yet, like Alice in Chains, Mother Love Bone,
Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Nirvana, all those guys.
The funny thing about grunge, though, is some of those bands rejected that terminology.
Yeah.
And that's because bands like Pearl Jam and Temple of the Dog, they considered themselves rock.
Right.
There was no alternative. They were just rock.
Right.
But like, they just were it was a new sound, and I think people they were misclassified. I don't think grunge was actually alternative. I think it was more rock.
Right. Well, and if you look at the definition of it, it's nowadays they call it grunge rock.
Right.
Or alternative rock, or you see grunge alternative.
well,
as well. So
the other term you see is post grunge,
right,
where you ended up with bands like Creed, Nickelback, but you also ended up with Seether, Saliva, Breaking Benjamin, things like that.
right, yeah,
So with the good comes the bad, or the bad comes the good.
right. And it's funny that you talk about how so many bands rejected the label.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading this thing on Wiki. It says Robert Smith of The Cure rejects the genre label such as alternative gothic rock, college rock, blah blah blah. He's like, every time we went to America, we had a different tag, and they had a current picture of it. I'm like, dude, enough with the '80s look. It's not looking good on you anymore.
Yeah.
You don't look like Edward Scissorhands anymore. You look like you're fat,
Right.
wearing shitty makeup, and you just need to knock it off. Comb your hair, and just, put out some good music. But, yeah, the way I understand it doesn't fit into one thing. So when I asked this question and everyone threw these names out here, I know you looked a lot of them up on what they fit into.
Right.
I would bet I'd hear a lot of them on an alternative station.
Possibly.
Because they don't fit into pop. They don't fit into hip-hop. They don't fit, obviously, into country. So you'd find them on rock stations, but you're going to find them
right.
spilling into the alternative channel.
But you know, if you look at like the Meat Puppets, who are like one of the very earliest forms of alternative music, they were actually just kind of psychedelic rock, a little bit of country, a little bit of heavy metal.
Right.
They were. It was kind of a fusion, and I think that's maybe more what alternative rock is about. They're a fusion, you know, and the different subgenres are just fusions of different types of music.
Right.
So because like REM could probably be considered folk.
Yeah.
In some of their music is more like folk music.
Their mandolin type stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I agree.
It's more of a fusion type, I guess. But what's resulted of this alternative rock, and we'll go back to alternative, but now you have what they call modern rock, which is kind of the new alternative or post grunge, post alternative rock type scene.
Our stream health is bad.
We're screwed.
Yeah, I was just looking at it on here, and it's, you know why? I know why. I bet you it fixes itself now. Be nice if the program itself told us that. Anyway, so you might have to do more questions, because I think I was streaming it. Well, we're all streaming it in here, output and back in. Even though I had mine paused, I don't know. Anyway, we'll just keep talking. We'll figure this live stream stuff out yet. I don't know how the hell Kian and Jesse get it done.
They're smarter than we are.
Bullshit. I'll put that to the test. With the exception of anime, Kian. You know your shit there, but I would tend to disagree. Yeah, this thing says we're still live, but Facebook or YouTube says we're not. Although that's our old one. Shit, did I do this wrong again?
I don't know. Are you on the wrong tab or something?
What, can you see us fine on yours?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet you I was in the wrong spot. Yeah, that might be a little better. I don't know. Oh, it says viewers will do buffering. That's all right. I don't care about that.
They will do buffering.
They can do buffering.
Thank you for doing buffering with us today.
Can they hear us? That's the thing.
I don't know. So, we're the only two watching.
Yeah. I think it did better on Facebook. Because it tells people, hey.
Okay. Maybe we should just wait. Maybe.
Should we stop it and go over to Facebook? I don't know either. This video shit's getting frustrating.
Yeah. Whose big idea was that?
Well, it'd be nice is maybe that's what we'll have to look for next week. A non-video live podcast option. There's got to be something out there.
Yeah.
There's got to be. Because I could care less if they're looking at us. So, and right now, nobody's looking. So I'm going to drink.
Let's see. Live streaming audio. Mixer, Broadcastify. There are many. Stream Monster.
So which ones are free?
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway, fuck it. Should we turn the video off for now since it ain't working right? Or do you want to just keep going with it?
Let's keep going. I guess if people watch it, they will fucking watch it.
All right.
So, let me see. I'll send it to my wife.
I posted mine on Facebook. So it should be going. Oh, no, mine. What the fuck? It's not the right one.
I got the right one.
Mine says test of. No, but that's the right one. That's where something weird's going on. But yeah, I'm going to turn it off so I'm not streaming both directions on a...
Says we have 4 people watching now.
Doesn't say that over there. Hey, whoever's watching, say something.
Yeah, do something in the chat over there.
Hi, Tess. All right. Yay.
Can you hear us?
There's a bit of a delay, so it'll take a second for her to pop up. This is... Yeah.
Well, you've got 2 geniuses sitting here that don't know nothing about computers.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll just keep going. So, we'll cut all this out of the audio shit later. I think we can actually edit the Facebook video too, or the YouTube video too. So,
Oh, yeah.
so we went through to these different bands. Did you want to go over the timeline of alternative rock too, or
It's entirely...
it's basically it started what they called in the 70s, and I would agree with a lot of these. You know, Iggy Pop, I would say, was more...
Definitely.
Do you think he'd be alternative, or would he be punk?
He's punk.
So,
but that's where
it's kind
a
of where
lot
it
of
started,
like the grunge
right?
and stuff got it started, like the Ramones
Yeah.
and
But it's got Lou Reed, definitely a
Oh.
different kind of guy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he was not mainstream, but awesome music.
yeah,
T-Rex, for sure. I would consider them classic rock now, but they were, back then, they were definitely, definitely alternative music. So, alternative. Yeah, a lot of these, they list Blondie, Patti Smith, Sex Pistols, all what I would consider punk.
yeah,
You know, but they're considering them the birth of alternative.
and that's where it came from because punk was not mainstream.
No,
It never was.
I would say it's
And
probably a little more so now. Well, I mean, every genre I think has huge followers thanks to internet radio and social media,
Right.
where these bands can promote themselves a lot more than just a poster on a piece of wood stuck outside,
Right.
you know, on a telephone
But
pole
I mean,
somewhere,
back
so.
then that was,
Yeah.
you know, it was. A lot of them got started on college campuses.
Yeah.
These young impressionable minds that
Right.
Hey, man,
Do a lot of drinking, smoke a lot of weed. We're gonna start a band.
I've had so many drugs. This sounds good.
Right.
Because
Amen.
there's a lot of punk that just does not sound good.
If you can understand it.
And there's some alternative music that does not sound good. either.
Right. Yeah. And we'll get to some of that because some of that's on here. So I'm just gonna start going down the list. I think so. Shauna sent me Mazzy Star. I would agree that she was probably a form of alternative.
Oh, definitely.
Although I would put her also in more of a indie category, I think,
Yeah,
than anything. But
definitely.
I love her music.
Yeah, I do too.
I prefer more upbeat stuff, and I listened to a few songs. Every one of them I listened to is the same slow, cool voice. It sounds neat, but it's just too slow for me. I couldn't drive with it. I'd end up off the
It'd
road,
put me
you
to
know.
sleep probably.
But cool sound.
Yeah,
Definitely
definitely.
cool sound.
Definitely cool sound.
Then my buddy Jimmy, I've known him since 6th grade, 7th grade, somewhere in there. He brings up the classics, of course. Pearl Dog. Jesus. Pearl
Wow,
Jam.
How much have you had to drink?
This whole damn thing. And a Mountain Dew.
On a scale of 1 to 10, you're an 8.
I'm gonna have to pretty soon. So my comments were, well, duh, Jimmy. I mean, they were, to me, they were the birth of my version of alternative music. And again, we went into what's grunge, what's blah blah blah. But when I think alternative, that's where I go, is to Pearl Jam,
That's
Soundgarden,
me too.
Stone Temple Pilots, all those guys. And I mean, for a long time, I thought Eddie Vedder and I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Stone Temple Pilots,
Scott Weiland.
Scott Weiland. I thought they were the same guy because back in the 80s, 90s, I guess, they had very similar facial features, the high cheekbones,
Right.
the looking out the top of their head thing when they're singing, I'm like, they got to be at least
Right.
brothers or something, but it was just their style. They both had very similar voices. The minute Eddie Vedder comes on,
You know
it's
who
Eddie
that
Vedder.
is. Right.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
And I'm not as big of a Pearl Jam fan as you and your family are, but I love them.
I've been a fan since '93, and my brother introduced me to him. Actually,
Really?
That's right.
And I would say I listened to 10, obviously. Their live thing that they did for MTV, their Unplugged,
Yeah, that's
which
great.
I thought was amazing. That defined Pearl Jam to me. It was
Right.
more than just, dude got up and climbed across the damn,
Right.
Eddie Vedder got up there like a monkey, and I'm like, these guys are aggression, passive aggressive, I guess.
There's a lot of angst.
Angst. He's wild. He's crazy. He's contained, and then he's wild and crazy again. He's just like your brother.
Kinda.
So, yeah. I mean, we could probably spend an entire podcast just talking Pearl Jam, or you could, especially, or that style of alternative
It is.
slash
It's,
grunge.
the interesting thing is that people think of Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains.
Alice in
but-
Chains, yeah.
But the whole Seattle scene started a lot earlier with like Mother Love Bone,
Mm-hmm.
and then the late '80s was their time
Right.
until the lead singer he died of an overdose, Andrew Wood, and two members of Mother Love Bone, Jeff Ament and Stone Gossard,
Yep.
ended up in Pearl Jam. They're still members to this day.
Right.
But they got together with Chris Cornell and Matt Cameron from Soundgarden
Yep.
and put out the Temple of the Dog.
Such a great album.
Album.
I still
Great
listen
album.
to it.
And I don't even, to me, that's not even grunge. I know people are going to call it grunge because of the people
Right.
that are in it, but that was just a great rock album.
Yeah. I still to this day listen to it. I mean,
and I do too.
I love.
And
the
again,
entire
my
album.
brother introduced me to that. He got it for Christmas one year, and he's been through, I think he said 2 or 3 cassette tapes and a couple CDs.
Yeah,
and it's
I've
just
bought the
constant
CD at least
rotation.
twice. Yeah.
But
Shit, here we go.
I have it downloaded at home.
I didn't even notice this, that you put the singles movie soundtrack in
Yeah.
there Right, Alice in Chains Wood is on there, and that was like my favorite song for the longest time.
It was a great movie,
You know, I've never seen the movie,
And,
but I've listened to the soundtrack a million times.
and I've got the soundtrack. Was an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah,
It was all Seattle music,
yeah,
you know, because that was the setting of the movie. That was, you know, it was all about.
it was the era too.
It was the
yeah.
era,
Mhm.
you know. So I have the DVD. I'll borrow it to you.
All right,
So
although it's probably on Netflix or
you
something
probably
too.
just
Who
go
knows?
watch it. Yeah, but
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I absolutely loved that soundtrack, but particularly the song "Wood" from Alice in Chains was.
right.
I don't know what about that particular song I absolutely loved. If I could pick two Alice in Chains songs, it'd be that and it'd be Rooster. Are my two absolute favorite. And to me, Rooster is just one of those songs
Right.
that you can feel what the guy's feeling. You know, when they put that out, it's like, oh, I can.
You ever
This guy,
you ever listen to Mad Season?
Mm-hmm.
River of Deceit. It's one of my
Right.
favorite songs of all time.
And unfortunately, I don't know song titles or the shit.
That's the one song.
But they're
out
big
there.
one, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But so here's your trivia for the night, I guess. Before Pearl Jam was Pearl Jam,
Mm-hmm.
Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament were looking for their band, and they found Eddie Vedder through just, you know, networking. They found he was surfing in San Diego and sent in a demo tape, and they got together. And the original name of their band was Mookie Blaylock, who was a basketball player in the NBA,
Oh, no shit.
and his number was 10.
10, right.
So
Got it. Huh.
that's where the name of their first album came from.
Nice. Oh, that's
So-
cool.
Kind of a throwback to that.
Yeah.
Everybody says Pearl Jam was named after Eddie Vedder's grandma's
Grandma, yeah, I heard
opium jelly.
that. Right, yeah. I've heard
Called
that too.
Grandma Pearl's Jam.
Right.
But they said that's not true.
Right.
Well, they can neither confirm nor deny.
Right.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I remember hearing that when they first came out too. But that's like, you know, NWA comes out and they made up a million different names until they finally said, what does it stand for? You know, niggas with attitude. But
Right.
before that, it meant all kinds of other things.
right.
And,
Well, you know, in
it-
in an information vacuum, people make up their own minds.
right, absolutely.
So
We could go political on that, but we won't. So, Paige then brought up Grace Vanderwall. And do you know who she is?
I know exactly who she is.
So, you know, amazing young lady. She's one of those
without a doubt.
that even now that she's going through puberty, her voice is still that raspy, crackly voice. And I don't know if she's doing that on purpose or if that's her voice.
I don't either.
But if you follow her, and I subscribe to her YouTube channel, so I see her new videos all the time. Her newest one right now, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's basically a fuck you to your parents. It's, you know, let me do this myself. I'm proving to you that I can do it. Stop trying to stop me. Let me do it. You know, and you just see this progression of her first song with was it America's Got Talent that she was on, or
Yeah.
The Voice, whichever one, saying, hey, you know, I've got this big sister, you're her friend, and you're trying to judge me, and I really don't care what you think about me. You know, I'm not going to play by the rules. But it's a very young girl song. And now she's maybe 16,
Yeah, I don't
15,
even know.
16. And she's got this song. You know, I mean, you just, fuck you, parents. Let me do this. And you're just watching her grow as a
Yeah. Right.
as a person and as an artist. And I'm having a tough time getting used to that song, only because it's almost just blah. You know, she's just kind of throwing shit out there. There's no real fancy ukulele work on it or anything. So, you know, I think she's just in your face about it, whatever, and she's just having fun. So I can't wait to see what happens when she really hits mainstream. I would say she's still the Voice star, America's Got Talent.
And
star,
I'm
blah, blah,
not
blah.
convinced she's actually alternative. I'm not sure.
Well, that's it. She doesn't fit anywhere else, though. And so what I told Paige is I would consider her folk rock or even just
Yeah.
folk music. But where else would they play her right now? They don't play her
Right.
anywhere else, so
Right.
she would fit into a broad genre of alternative music because she doesn't fit anywhere else.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I still kept her in there, because I love her music. I don't know what to classify her as. I didn't look it up on Wiki, so I'm not sure. You know, she was on The Voice or whatever, America's Got Talent, whatever, so she's something. But
Mhm.
cool. What does yours say we have for viewers? Just curious.
2.
Okay, because that says 3, so I don't know
Oh,
exactly
4.
what's
I think,
what.
I think Chad's watching because he sent me a Facebook message and wanted to talk about the Kinks. They
Okay.
were part of the 70s band out of
Yeah.
Britain that, you know, were a big influencer even on today's indie / alt groups out of England
Yeah.
and the UK.
Yep. And I honestly, I didn't know who the Kinks were until I can't even remember what the song was. They had a big song in the 80s. And then I'm like, oh, the Kinks, you know, well, the 80s band. But really, their rock back into the 70s was
Right.
great fucking music.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard of them then, you know. I didn't know who they were until the 80s.
Right.
So, but then again, I didn't really know who Elton John was either until his 80s music that was kind of sappy. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, he did this other stuff too. So is there something specific he wants to talk about?
No,
with
just
Kinks,
about
or-
the fact that they were you know, that
very
influence
influential.
on-
Yeah. Mhm.
and they were most likely very high.
yeah,
I think a lot of these groups probably were.
probably.
And
a lot
when
of
you
them
start
probably still
talking
are.
into like
Ween,
the actual alternative groups,
yeah, oh yeah,
even like in the 90s,
oh yeah,
they did a lot of drugs.
right. Yeah, if you listen to Ween, it's almost guaranteed. I mean,
Without a doubt.
so Nick Schroeder, he brought up Big Jesus. You'd mentioned him before. I've never heard of him until Nick mentioned him.
I've listened to him, you know, off and on. I'm not a solid listener, but if you want a modern take on 90s alternative music,
Right.
listen to Big Jesus.
Yeah.
They are like that shining star. I mean, if that was your kind of music back, 25 years ago, this will make you
Fall in love all over again, yeah.
all over again.
Yeah, and like I put
You
in
know.
my notes, they remind, even his voice and style reminded me of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
And I love the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yep.
I mean, still to this day, Landslide, no one remembers their version of it.
Oh yeah.
That is like my favorite version of Landslide. Better than the original, better than the Dixie Chicks, better than anyone else who's put it out there. Smashing Pumpkins version, I absolutely loved it. So,
It's a good band.
yeah, definitely. So, and what I put in there too, I could definitely get into these guys, and probably because it takes me back
Right. But even
to
there,
when I had hair.
they incorporate a lot of that heavy grunge guitar sound
Right.
into a more what you would think of as a traditional alternative music, and it's another fusion. To me, it was a kind of a fusion of two different kinds of alternative music,
Right.
but that's alternative. To
Yeah.
me.
Yep. Definitely. Breaking Benjamin.
I for one really really like Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, I do too.
I've been a fan ever since I first heard them probably 9-10 years ago when they first started making it big. But they're, again, as the grunge scene faded and alternative music started to fade, you have now this new subgenre of alternative music called post grunge, and these guys fit into it. They're
right.
they heavily influenced by grunge and all other alternative rock style music. And you can hear it in the guitars and some of the lyrics sometimes, but that, to me, they're post grunge.
Right.
And they're a lot like Seether, Saliva, and other bands like that. Now, it's not all good, right? Because
Right. No, of course.
Nickelback and Creed are also considered post grunge.
And I like them, but not
I-
all of them.
I think I liked them when they first came out too, And I don't dislike
They're-
Creed.
They were heavier when they came out.
I'm sick of Nickelback. Everybody's got sick of them. They were so overplayed every time.
And they went too lullaby to me.
Yeah.
Too
Just-
soft.
Probably the best song by Nickelback ever was Hero from the Spider-Man movie.
See, and maybe the most popular.
Probably, for
But
sure.
I would, to me, Something in Your Mouth, Animals, that heavier music
Right.
where they're a little dirty, kind of some naughty themes in there, but they were still on the radio. That's the stuff that I liked about them. And they were heavy sound, Once he got married to Avril Lavigne, which, hey, she's back on the market now. I got a chance. That they kind of, to me. So, but yeah, great song. I think he's got a cool voice. I love the lead singer of Breaking Benjamin. I think his voice is awesome. So, let's see. Kimberly said Doomtree. I
didn't.
I couldn't get into them because they were more rap, but to me it sounded like they were trying to be Linkin Park, and Linkin Park to me is just their own genre. I mean, they just
kind of.
I can't put them in one place because I absolutely love Linkin Park. They're just they're a sound all their own, and to me these guys were trying to. It sounds to me like they're trying to take a piece of that sound and do the same thing, and I couldn't get into it. I'm gonna try a couple more songs by them, but I just the couple that I listened to, I couldn't do it. So
To me, they were more of an indie / alternative hip hop kind of, with kind of that heavier guitar riff in the background.
right,
But to me, it was more hip hop than anything.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike them at all.
yeah, but I couldn't get into it.
Right.
Listening to all these other bands going, yeah, I love this, and then this one got in there. It just didn't do it for me. But who knows? Ryan with Ryan Rudin, All That Remains of Thunder Rolls. I thought it was an okay cover. I'm not a big fan of All That Remains. I don't like. The only other song I've heard by them was that kind of screamy stuff that I don't care for. The thing I don't like when bands do covers, I could turn the music off, just listen to the singers, and they're almost line for line the same as Garth Brooks, the same inflections, the same.
Right.
I don't like that in a cover. I like when they take a song, they take the lyrics, it's similar to the original, but they don't sing it line for line the same. And that's, I didn't care for that. I thought it was cool music
Yeah.
and all that, but I didn't like that they weren't making that song their own. They were just making it hard.
And to me, it was just a heavy metal version of Thunder Rolls.
Right.
And All That Remains to me is just heavy metal.
Right.
I don't associate them really with alternative rock or alternative music. Maybe a little post grunge, but they're heavier than that.
Right.
And I mean, this song is probably a poor example because you can only make that song so heavy.
Right.
But the rest of their stuff is just, it's heavy metal.
Right.
So,
Yeah. But I listened to it. I didn't mind the cover. It just wasn't. I think they could have done a lot more with it. Dwayne mentioned Melanie Martinez song called Mad Hatter. I probably listened to that 10 times a day. Something about that song. You called it electropop. I would say by today's definition of alternative, I would hear that on the alternative stations that I listen to out in California, because they play stuff like Lord, things like that, and she would fit into that same stuff. This Melanie Martinez. So like I said, I thought it was a cool song. For some reason, I love just about anything associated with Alice in Wonderland. Definitely Mad Hatter, definitely associated with that. So I thought it was a cool song. Like I said, I listened to it quite a few times while I was out here dicking around in the garage days. So
yeah, I didn't think it was a bad song at all.
no, I got addicted to it. I really did. But I also like a lot of new alternative that a lot of people. It's kind of funny. So I used to fly out to California. I would only listen to the alternative station out there. So I'd hear Lord, Arctic Monkeys, Cage the Elephant, that kind of stuff out there. I'd come back here and play it at a school dance or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, this song sucks," 2 months later, they'd be like, "Can you play this song?"
Right.
Fuck you.
Right.
When I brought it from the West Coast, you wanted nothing to do with it, you little pricks, until you listen to it on YouTube 50 times a day or
That
whatever.
is that's a phenomenon that goes way back though, because
I know it does.
in 1984, my cousin came from San Diego, and the only thing she had for music that those the Violent Femmes.
Oh, sure.
And the Blister in the Sun, and there's a couple other songs on a cassette, and she played it front and back and front and back and front and back, and we all thought it was just terrible.
Are you on the drugs?
Yeah. 15 years later, I'm at the Marquee and people are dancing to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what in the hell's going on here?
Right.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Right. Yeah.
So it's funny how the sounds catch on,
Yeah.
and the amount of time it takes to actually get here. It's faster now than it ever used to be. But,
Right. Yeah. Because it used to have to catch on city by city across the
Right.
country. Now it hits the web and someone likes it and bam.
Yeah.
But it's funny because Lorde. I keep bringing up Lorde. She's considered alternative. I would say she's heading towards pop, but she is always going to be different. That's just her MO.
Right.
She is just a weird girl. Puts out really cool music. I love her music, and she was live last time I was in California, so 3 years ago, and they said she put more bass out than any performer they've ever heard
Really?
out there. Heard that Royals, that they said just was enough to rattle the windows, and it was just intense, refined bass sound. And they said they've never heard anything like it. It was the coolest experience. Now I'm like, wish I would have seen that. That would have been so cool, because they had like not a free concert, but I don't know, free concert. It wasn't free, but it was pretty much anyone could go. It was in a big open area, whatever, and they said it was just incredible. So, but I didn't go. Peyton, I call her my niece. I've known her since she was conceived. Pretty sure I was there the night of it. I don't even know how to pronounce these guys. Amaranth.
Sounds right to me.
That's
right.
Drop Dead Cynical. I said I liked the girl and the guy singing parts. I've never been into death metal. I don't like that sound. The 5-finger death punch. Can't stand it.
See, and I like them.
I can't stand that sound.
I
I like
like
their
them.
music when they're singing,
Right.
but I don't like that shit.
But
I can't stand
it's
it.
not alternative.
No, that's heavy.
That's like, that is death metal.
But these guys I would consider alternative, because they were more. It was almost like they're trying to put that sound into just rock and roll.
Yeah.
And so it was weird, because here's these guys. Hey, I'm happy. I like this song. Yeah, I like this song too. Yeah, me too. And it's like, where did that guy come from? Who invited the fucking Cookie Monster to come and sing? But I dug the song. I didn't like that piece of it. I don't like that death metal sound. So if they could get rid of that, I'd probably listen to more of them. Brittany said Manchester Orchestra. When I saw she wrote that, I was like, who the hell? But,
Right.
I'm thinking my mom used to listen to Mannheim Steamroller.
Oh,
And for
yeah.
some reason, I had that stuck in my head with
Yeah.
these guys. I'm like, what is this girl, like, smoking some weird shit or what? Because
Right.
I loved them when I started listening to them. I thought it was great. I would consider, like you said, probably more indie rock.
Yeah.
But that still gets wrapped up in the
That's
alternative
right
genre.
In the alternative genre.
And I'll definitely be checking out more stuff by them. But just Manchester Orchestra just threw me way off. I wasn't ready for it. So I thought they were fantastic. Henderson, Mr. Music himself. Meat Puppets, Blackwater.
I love the Meat Puppets.
Oh, dude. But I forgot all about this song.
Yeah.
And so I bought it today for karaoke. I want to start throwing that out there, because
It's a great song.
completely forgot about it. And it is. It's an awesome song.
And the Meat Puppets have been around long enough that they're kind of that foundation of alternative.
Yeah, I agree.
They're that, early to mid 80s, that fusion.
Yeah.
They a little rock, a little country, a little psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
And they just kind of made it work. they ended up kind of outside of the underground being like a one-hit wonder, but they have so many good songs.
Right. And I think they were a one-hit wonder mainstream.
Yeah.
But if you look at their following,
Yeah. Oh,
they've
they
got
have
a lot of
huge
big
following.
hits. You know, because when I look at songs, I look at Spotify and I look at how many listeners they've had, or how many listens a song I've had, and a lot of their songs are up in the millions. So, yeah, absolutely. And then my nephew Mark, he said Boba Flex. They actually, their music cracked me up because it is stupidly dark. I mean, it was very, very dark. But I liked it, you know, but their themes were
right.
Jesus Christ, you know, I'm going to dance on you when you're dead kind of shit. And it's like, oh God.
They did a cover of Pink Floyd, and I know I've heard it. I think it was Comfortably Numb. But
I'll have to look. Yeah.
I'll have to look. Chad says it's great. I said decent because I can't remember, but I know it was good. I can't recall it in my brain.
Yep.
But they're going to be in the Midwest.
Yeah, I might.
They're going to be in Sioux Falls Thursday, September 28th, and the next night they'll be in Mankato.
Yeah, so I would.
Rocks.
They're the same distance from here, pretty damn close. I'd be okay with going to see either one of them. So, might have to skip a podcast and head over to Sioux Falls because I can see my kids while I'm there too. So, yeah, I don't know. That'd be cool. But then again, I could do the Mankato one, and Mark could join me, even though it's a longer drive for him. But it's about a little more than halfway for him to come down there. So, and I'll be honest, my nephew Aaron, you threw in Jesus Lizard today. I didn't get a chance to look at him. So.
Jesus Lizard was kind of one of the early, that mid to late 80s sound. They kind of got grouped in with the noise rock subgenre. Very, very much like Sonic Youth. You remember them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I never really listened to them back then. I didn't recognize any of their songs when I, listened to them, but not bad music.
All right. Yeah, and I didn't get a chance. I ended up getting called into work and didn't get to do it. So I'm going to go, maybe we'll switch off. Why don't you, because your list is longer, so why don't you start off with a couple from your list that you liked?
My list of alternative bands, well, I'll just start with the Violent Femmes because that was like my first exposure to alternative music, and I hated it, back in 1984. Eventually, I came around to the Violent Femmes, just a couple songs that, were around, in the Midwest. But REM, everybody knows who REM,
yeah.
Michael Stipe, and all the success that they had. They're almost like, they cross so many different styles of music. It's just crazy. But then the Pixies, who had a huge influence on Kurt Cobain.
I've heard the band name. I can't come up with any songs.
Yeah.
So I'll look them up from our list. I'll see what we got.
Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
That was another big one in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty clearly alternative music.
Right. What was it called back then, though? Because they were called something else, a different style. Like them and the Violent Femmes and all of them. They weren't just punk, but they were called something else, and I don't remember what the hell it was.
I don't remember.
So
I spent a lot of the 90s intoxicated.
Yeah.
So.
Well. And REM, too, another one of those bands, you could hear them progress as they...
Oh, yeah.
Came through, and just got better, in my opinion, and I love them, absolutely.
Right. Rage Against the Machine, they're a borderline band. They're a lot of rock.
I would almost consider them heavy metal, but...
Heavy metal, but they just had some elements of that alternative that keeps them in the alternative.
And
they're not grunge.
90% of the time, I can't remember the name of that band, and I don't remember if it was you or somebody else. But they told me, yeah, it's the guy with the angry Mexican lead singer. And so that's every time I hear one of their songs, I'm like, oh, it's the angry Mexican guy. And I cannot remember the name of the band, you know, and all I can think of is da 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 da, you know, and playing that on the stupid Guitar Hero games.
Yeah.
That was that the song that I didn't miss a beat? I can't remember.
I don't know.
It was that rock band. I know that, but I don't remember which song it was. I remember Jekyll and Hyde had a lot to do with that night.
Uh-huh.
I gotta get some more of that.
You were hiding something. Another band is Sponge.
Yeah. I'm reminiscing, sorry. As you're looking over, playing the guitar, you're looking over and you're like, you're not missing a beat. Nope.
That's what.
God, that was funny.
That's what a 12-pack will do to him.
Jesus Christ.
But
Tim McGraw, Stewart, I'm gonna whoop your ass next time I see you. Tim, my cousin. Got any Tim McGraw? That's for another topic, sir.
Tim McGraw.
So yeah, Sponge is another one. I remember they played some of them on 93X.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, but I can't. In my head, I can't picture any songs. I listened to 93X religiously until they brought Howard Stern on for a morning show. I pretty much dead ever listening to them again. I couldn't get into it. I can't fucking stand Howard Stern.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. One of their big songs was called Plowed.
All right, I'll check them out again.
Check them out. Elastica.
Yep.
Remember them?
Yep, I do.
Weren't
they pretty much a one-hit wonder too, as far as popular?
Maybe a couple of.
Yeah.
You just didn't hear a lot of them.
Right. Yeah.
But I've still got the CD at home.
Cool.
Of course.
Ween. Yeah.
So many different genres of music in that.
He hits everything.
He hits everything, and so many drugs.
Yeah, gotta
many drugs.
Gotta be. And he was just here too, right? Somewhere in the area.
They're going to be in Lincoln.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. They're coming up
in September.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll make that trip.
I don't know if I'll make it down there.
That'd be trippy. I don't know if I could be in a room with that many fucked up people without wanting to go nuts on somebody. You know?
Well, it's going to be outside.
There's still going to be people fucking banging into you and just stoned out of their goddamn mind. You know what I mean? But
all the Ween fans are late 30s or 40s.
Right, which makes their drug habits even worse. So
yeah, because they've been fucked up for a long time.
So I don't know if I could do it. I don't know. I'd give it a shot, but I'd stand in the back because I may have to make a quick exit.
But then one of the more recent bands that I really like are the Silver Sun Pickups.
Mm-hmm.
And just
never heard of them, but
good songs, catchy music. I like them.
Right.
How about you?
I'm going to look up one real quick here because I'm drawing a blank on their damn name. So hold on while I type this stuff in. Soundtrack. And it can't reach the page. That's great. Thanks. My internet go down?
Chad says, "Hey You" by Pink Floyd.
Yeah, he said that to me too. So I gave him a middle finger up. I mean a thumbs up.
Well, if your thumb is your middle finger, you got issues, pal.
I had it sewed back on. Bad tractor accident.
Horsecock.
Well, it's not letting me do shit on the internet, so our stream health is good. It's good to have a good, healthy stream.
It's no lie.
But who are the guys that did a lot of the songs on the Suicide Squad soundtrack?
The one people.
I can't think of their names. Pilot. Fuck.
Oh, 21 Pilots.
21 Pilots.
Oh,
thank you. I don't know why I couldn't get them back.
I like
in my
them.
head. I love 21 Pilots, and they're thrown right into the alternative genre, although they get played on pop stations quite a bit. Right. So it's kind of one of the things I was thinking of is nowadays genres don't matter anymore. You know,
Not
you'll
really.
hear rock artists cross over to country, country cross over to rock and pop, and they've all kind of melded together. So right now we just have music. So that's why when someone like Chris Stapleton comes out, I appreciate. I don't like generally that country sound.
Yeah.
Same with Sturgill Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
I don't generally like that sound, but them doing that sound in this day and age, that's country.
It's fresh.
And I love it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say I don't like Merle Haggard and that stuff, because I do, but I can't listen to them in long doses. I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I could sit there and listen. I could listen to Chris Stapleton all day long.
Yep.
And I'm getting there. Sturgill Simpson still, there's a couple songs it's like grinds on me because he's got some heavy steel guitar in it. And
See, and I love the steel.
and that
guitar.
just, I don't know why I don't like that sound, but
if I knew how to play the pedal steel,
yeah,
I would be out of here.
sure.
I would be making lots of money, tens of dollars.
Right.
So
I had on mine Garbage.
yeah,
They were one of my favorite bands
They were great.
back in the 90s. Even though they were another one, you know, I'm only happy when it rains. You know, they're a very poor me band, but I like their music. So Letters to Cleo, most people don't remember them. They had one song called Here and Now.
great
And
song.
I love it. It's another
Yeah.
one of those. So I went and looked. I have there's that fucking cricket. I have on Spotify Rob's Alternative, and it's all Garbage, Letters to Cleo. What's that about? Hole is in there. You know,
Never liked Hole.
I love Hole. I don't know why. It's such a dirty sound. I mean, she's a dirty chick.
Yeah,
But I like that
I do not like
Dirty. I probably the same reason I like the Traveling Wilburys. They got great music, but they're all, I would consider them flat singers
Yeah.
or nasally singers, all of them. And to me, she was the same thing. She was flat. She was off key. Her guitarist is fucking incredible. I can't remember who she's playing with now, but she's an incredible guitar player for Hole. They didn't get along, but they made good music. And,
People
oh, God.
people liked Hole. You like Hole. You know, I was in the CD of the Month Club or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I forgot to cancel.
RCA
so I,
or whatever. No, who was it back then?
I don't even remember.
Columbia House, right?
Columbia
Was the big
House.
one? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
BMG.
you're freaking CD every month, and if you don't cancel, they just keep sending them and sending
Right.
them. And even if you don't pay, they just keep sending them and sending them, whatever.
Yeah,
They're
and then
no
they send you a
longer-
big bill. Yeah.
Yeah, try to collect. Huh. But I got the Belly CD by Hole.
Right.
Awful. Fucking awful. I hated that CD. I still have it. Why? I don't know. I
That's
hated
funny.
it.
Yeah.
You can
that's
have
funny.
it.
All right. I won't pay you for it either.
God damn it. Need to recoup some of my losses.
But yeah, I don't know. I like that sound. You know,
Ugh.
to me that's grunge too, because it's dirty. It's a dirty
yeah.
sound.
That Hole is definitely grunge.
Raw. You know, unfiltered, not super overdubbed
Yeah.
or anything. You know.
Yeah.
One take. If it sucks, we're recording it anyways because we're flat ass broke from doing heroin and we can't afford to
Oh,
pay the
yeah.
studio.
Yeah.
You know, one of those kind of
I'm
deals.
pretty sure every one of their songs was called Strung Out.
Right.
Right? If I had to pick one female band from the grunge, alternative, post-grunge era
Yeah.
that was like rock, it would have to be Veruca Salt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love their music. Saw them live in concert once.
Really
Oh man, they just kicked the shit out of it.
nice.
So
Nice.
I'm sure my brother remembers that. Although,
Does your brother remember much from like prior to 10 years ago?
yeah, for the most part, I think you do.
And then I added Bloodhound Gang to alternative. And the thing I love with them is they had so many mainstream songs played on the radio
Right,
that are so fucking adult themed,
right.
but they never cuss in them, you know?
Mhm.
So they were able to go through, you know, and you just listen. To this day, my favorite song of them is Lift Your Head Up High and Blow Your Brains Out. I love that song of theirs. And just the songs that they came up with.
You know what?
It's same with, what were we talking about last time? Third Eye Blind.
Yeah.
You know, they have so much adult themes in their music, and yet they're still pushed through. And, you know, KUOO here in town, they'll, you know, doing will lift you up until you break, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know what he said there. And then the last one I put on the list, I mean, there's a whole bunch of new bands that I really like. You know, 21 Pilots is one of them. Cage the Elephant is one of them. So all these newer bands, but Arctic Monkeys, they're another one. If you listen to their music, a lot of drugs, but they just got such a cool sound. And my favorite song by them, ironically, is called "Why You Only Call Me When You're High," and it's got a cool bass beat to it. It's just a cool sounding song. Now the video is like 15 fucking minutes long.
Ugh,
and
brutal.
It's tough.
Brutal.
I posted it to a friend's page one time, not ever seeing the video. I just wanted him to hear the song, and I went back and apologized because I'm like, sorry man, you got to go to like minute 8 before the music starts, because it turned out to be like a little movie, you know. And everywhere the guy looks, his girl's getting done by somebody, you know. So the whole thing is he's stoned out of his mind and drunk and everything else, and he looks in a window and sees somebody banging her, and looks in the cab and she's, you know, going down on the cab driver. Then he flashes back and she's not really there, you know. So the whole video's like that. But Arctic Monkeys, give them a listen. They're a fantastic band. I really like them. Cage the Elephant, love them. Of Monsters and Men, you know, they're awesome. So I haven't been looking at the questions over here because why was that doing that? Only because they're on our big TV over here, and I didn't want to be streaming two things at once. I did not get the cable buried this week as I was hoping for our internet because I couldn't find my hole saw. I found a half a saw, but not a whole saw.
Is it a whole half or a half a hole?
I found a whole half of a saw.
You use a whole saw to drill half a hole?
I am.
Or a whole hole?
Yeah, I'm using a 1-inch fucking hole saw to cut a hole through. I got to mount you always got to mount the box first before you drill a hole. So
mount the box, drill the hole.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing, and then lay the cable.
Yeah.
So I found the saws and all that, so I could get the box put up there and cut the hole in the wall. I don't even care if the thing's strung across the yard right now and not actually buried, but to get the connector on the box, I need to be able to have the box put in. So this week I'll put the box up, get the holes cut, and at least just run a raw cable around that I can do. So
okay.
So we'll get there, because the other side of the cable is just a plug. So I can
unless
always,
you want to put a jack on each end and then just patched in.
I do, but for right now I think it's just going to be a cable into the router, because somewhere in this lovely garage I have cable / Ethernet jacks. They're on one jack. So I want to put one here, and then I'd put one in my internet closet, because there's already cable coming through it.
And then you just patch in.
Correct. Yeah.
That's the smart way to do it.
So, but I don't know what I did with those jacks. I looked online; they're like $6 a piece. I'll probably wait until I go to Sioux Falls this weekend and to get the cable / Ethernet jack. So,
okay,
dirt cheap at Menards, I'm sure. So, I was getting the nod over there.
Catching up on this video here.
What video is that?
Us.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like going like this.
Sorry, fat guy trying to do Ollie is not good. Oliver. All right, so
I need something like Wilson to hide my face like this.
I was trying to find. So we're using this. We should talk about this sometime. I'm using this OBS Studio. Really cool piece of software. For those of you who haven't seen, we can focus just on Bubba. We can focus just on me. Look at that. Look at that. It's so nice. Or I can split scene. And so I can also add, if I had another camera, I could add, camera in other stuff and put all these different scenes in there. And it's pretty slick, I think. I can do different audio things and all that. Doesn't have green screen. I wish it had a green screen option, because I think we would have a lot of fun with that. Hey, look at that. There's Bubba on the big screen. And there's not Bubba. Fucking dork. All right, so
We need to get a picture posted of how we have things set up here, with the big screen and the
yeah, well,
laptops.
I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, don't. Mess
Yeah,
with
we'll put one up. But so alternative stuff. What we're gonna do is we're trying to find some more funny topics. We keep saying this, we sit and chat outside of this podcast, and we joke around, and we're funny as fuck. And then we do this. We keep bringing up serious topics, so it's not as funny, and we're sober. That's not helping any. But we're gonna be looking for some more funny topics to discuss. They are probably not going to be child appropriate of any nature.
I would hope not.
I may be doing some other stuff too, because there's some topics I'd like to talk about. So I may start my own podcast that's not the two of us together. That's pot stirring.
Huh? You just said pot.
I did. I'm over here sniffing fucking fog juice.
Fog juice, and I got a Sharpie.
I got a Dully.
It's a permanent marker.
But we'd also want to do, once in a while we want to fill in pick a genre of music, tell us who you like by them, and talk about them. It expands my horizons on music, expands your horizons. Everyone who's paying attention to this expands their horizons as well. Find out some new music that's out there. I found quite a few bands today that I'll be adding to my repertoire.
Definitely.
But we're also gonna, we're trying to go with technical topics. We're gonna go with funny topics, music topics. We'll probably go back to food topics too. More smoking stuff and stuff. So, but yeah, there's some other more serious things that I'd like to talk about that we kind of agreed for our show we don't want to put them in there. So there's some religion things, some political things,
we don't need
some relationship things, and stuff that doesn't fit what we want to do. So, so I may break off and do some of that stuff myself, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to cut her off here. We're at 1:02. Of course, a lot of that was kind of some garbled shit while we're trying to figure out what this was. We're also trying to figure out, do we want to do this on YouTube primarily? Do we want to do it on Facebook Live? We may try next week just doing an audio feed. Straight audio chat for people to check us out. I prefer Facebook only because there's so many more people that interact. But YouTube is direct. We don't have to edit and all that shit. So we'll see. We're keeping on. We're glad that people are listening. We don't expect to make it big. We don't expect to get rich.
You told me I was gonna have tens of dollars.
Tens of dollars.
Or at least a few singles.
So
$600.
I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. That in today's age, people aren't as social. I mean, social media has become our social. So people talk and interact on social media. They don't go out. So bars are hurting, clubs are hurting. Even just going over to a friend's house. People just don't do that anymore like they used to. That's all it used to be. Read papers in the fucking 50s. Actually, the 1800s through 1970s.
Right.
Everyone's visiting everybody at their house. So for me, this podcast is not only me and one of my best friends getting a chance to talk every week sober, because usually our interactions have been at the bar. So we get to talk soberly, but we get to involve our friends and family in that through social interaction online, because
I don't feel like I'm saying a whole lot these days.
They're spread all over the place.
You're talking a lot.
I talk too much, but I'm also home 24/7. I don't get to talk to people. so I need some social time. That's not in a bar.
Yeah, I'm having internet issues over here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to what Rob said. I don't know. I'm just not very talkative tonight.
That's all right. You're saying you weren't feeling good. That's good. You filled in all the stuff that the good stuff about the topic. You always do. You've got all the info.
I do at least 30 minutes of research before each podcast.
Right.
At least.
Well,
Tonight was probably 45 minutes. No lie.
And I like the topic. I just
It was a good topic.
yeah, I liked it. But so we're gonna try and find some funny stuff and some, maybe we'll talk about men's fashion next week or something because we can make all kinds of fun about that.
I am not fashionable. I've been wearing the same thing for 20 years.
Shave your head, grow a goatee. That's all there is to it. Great video, by the way, if you look it up. Shave your head, grow a goatee. So, hey, that's it. I'm going to cut her off here. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you, next week.
Next week.
Peace out.
Good night. Rock on.
Bye.
Bye.
Stop streaming.